card machine at checkouts with no option to skip the tipping feature. Noticed this the other day at the checkout in the airport. After I inserted my card, I was prompted to make a selection before completing my transaction. 5, 10, 15, or other. There was no option to skip. I was required to select a tip to continue. I was purchasing a bottle of water from the kiosk. If you feel that a tip is not necessary and there is no skip option, select other and enter the value at $0. Completely out of hand here in the States. I've definitely done what you did. You should try inputting 20 and see if you get a discount. Is it only me that doesn't feel any pressure to tip in such situations? I don't even look at the default options and always pick other so that I can enter the amount I want to tip. A lot of times I do enter 0. I know it's cuntish, but if this ever happens in the UK, I'm leaving my entire shopping there and walking out. You guys are fucked. You should not tip at any self-service place of business. I travel a lot. I am a very good tipper. But expecting me to add a tip at an airport candy shop, where I just paid $15 for a candy bar and a bottle of water, to a surly cashier who doesn't even acknowledge me, is absurd. My advice is to hit other, add 1 cent, and let the company pay more in processing fee than they take in. Sadly, I've started to see more tip-style machines here in the UK. A tip that is mandatory is not a tip. Tipping has gotten way out of control. I go heavy on the zeros just to bang out my frustration. The red button on the machine will skip the tip. Would you like to leave a 20, 30, or 40 tip for providing this tip? The mandatory tip thing is so weird if you're in a country where it's not. If the service is good, and we can afford it, we usually tip at restaurants and stuff, but there's no pressure knowing waiters and the rest of the personnel's salary is enough to not need tipping. It's more of an heartfelt gesture we add than something that is expected. Select other and enter 0. If a shop is asking for a tip on an automated machine and you can't skip it, don't buy from that shop. That's the real life hack. This whole tipping thing is ridiculous. I'm happy I'm in a country where this doesn't exist. I do this often. I've been guilted into tipping this way before, but lately I've been using the logic of if I was paying cash 5 years ago, would I feel obligated to tip? If no, then sorry. If the service is particularly good or something else stands out, then sure. For what it's worth, my standard tip at a restaurant is 20 baseline. And my bartenders will typically see more like 50, so I am not averse to tipping, but this shit is out of control. I've seen options 20, 25, 30, 35 presented on self-checkout screens at grocery and liquor stores. These machines are programmed by the merchant and merchants are becoming more and more crafty. Another choice is to just walk out. Be sure to tell them why. If this happened, to know if they will change their attitude and procedures. You press enter usually without making a selection, and that should skip the tip. Otherwise ask them. There's no need to tip to purchase something to go. Who TF would tip for that? It isn't even a restaurant. I saw one at a counter-service restaurant and the options are 20, 25, 30, or other. Like really. The cashier stared me down as I clicked other and put in a 15 tip, which emo is still generous. I remember when 10 was the norm. Who are you even tipping in this scenario? Several years ago I made a comment on how tipping was getting out of hand and I was downvoted heavily. Being accused of being a cheapskate and everything else. Now a few years later this is what it has come to. It was so refreshing a few months ago when we traveled to a non-tipping country. Grabbed coffee in Brooklyn today, board said $5. When the tablet was flipped the total was $6.15 and the caption was total taxi suggested tip with 2 options, accept or just. I'm never going back. When this happened, I cancelled my purchase, put the item back and left. Not dealing with copies that do this. How is this a life hack? A lot of the places like boba shops and bakeries have that white checkout touchscreen machine, and it always has that leave a tip, and they always slightly pressure you. I always tip 0 unless it's like a poke shop, because they usually hook me up with extra toppings, but otherwise it just gets annoying. The employer found ways to get around the tip jar they usually have so they can pocket some of the digital tip money. Could you input whatever amount you wanted? Such as 1 cent. Other at 0, or whatever you feel inappropriate. Yeah, I've come across this. Just entering 0 works so far. Usually if you pick other, one option is no tip. Look for other and type in 0. I select the custom tip option and just enter 0.00 even when it gives me the option to skip, devilish face. Or just use cash. If you see that, please feel free to leave your shit on the counter or cart or checkout and just bail. No shit, Sherlock. Unethical life hack: select other, put in something absurd like $500. Dispute the charge immediately with your credit card company. Free water and no tip. I've just stopped tipping. Everywhere I go. My wife hates it, but I tell her this is how we start a revolution. And save money. Life hack. Enter $20, get money back maths. Did you just get a card? Come back the next day. Fill whole shopping cart with ice cream. Walk around for 20 minutes. Go to checkout. Get to point where it asks for tip. Look at staff and say what the fuck. Walk out. I think people know this already. It's not that confusing. Hit other and type in $0. Tipping is a scam like trickle-down, cryptocurrency, and gift cards. Click other and enter $0. Selecting other isn't a life hack, it's common sense. Can you add negative numbers? THXS for passing on your idea. Tipping has gotten out of hand. Can you enter a negative? I'm going to start carrying cash around. Self-checkout will have this soon, I imagine. There is one of these at the cafe where I used to work. Turns out when it gets to that part you are supposed to press the red cancel button, but it's not intuitive at all. They had to put signs up. $15. I've straight up refused to accept a takeout order at a taco place when I arrived for pickup when this happened. I told them no thanks, not going through the work of trying to figure out a $0 tip cause your machine doesn't have a no tip option. I went 2 doors down and got a hot chicken sandwich instead. Stop accepting their bullshit. To ensure promptness, that is what you are trying to get out of a TIP. If you are not getting that, then the system is not working. Cash is king. Too bad there wasn't a negative button for tipping. See if it'll let you enter a negative number. Sweet merciful crap, this sub is a joke. Around where I live, the employees working at these places actually realize how ridiculous the tipping thing is on the card readers, so when they hand me the machine they instruct me how to skip the tip option. Or I just look broke and they feel bad for me. Tip $1. If it won't let you enter $0, keep trying tiny amounts like 1 cent until it takes it. If it won't do that, remember, and don't shop there again, or at least don't use that kiosk if you do. Where's the steal option? Have you tried 10? That is exactly what I have tried for my trouble of serving myself. Yeah, I've had enough of the tipocalypse. I've in general stopped tipping altogether. Are you fucking serious, Lamau? Yeah? No shit? Is this your first day with a debit card? Can you put other and then 0.01?